GayFatFriend and Friends, the podcast for party people. Party people, party people. Happy Pride. You guys, I'm a little hungover today. We did celebrate Pride yesterday in Seattle, and it's a young man's game.
Yeah.
I broke the golden rule. I accidentally drank all day and never ate food. And, you know, it just hits you 10 times harder. So, baby got a little drunky pants yesterday. But You know what? We're surviving. Welcome to the show. I am GayFatFriend, a.k.a. Todd.
Or what's left of him.
Of what's left of me. The shriveled, what? Sack of who I used to be. And joining me as always is my teeny tiny adorable little husband Rob.
Vibrant as ever. Hello.
Yeah, because you didn't really drink. I think you had like one beer.
I had 3.
You're not much of a drinker.
I had 3 beers, but over like the day.
Yeah, I mean, you stopped a long time before we came home.
No, I was ready to drive home.
Yeah, and we did everything right. We're so proud of ourselves. And then we're driving home and starving to death.
Yeah.
We passed a Jimmy John's, which... apologies to the elephants, but
yeah.
We were like, you know what? Let's get sandwiches. We haven't had Jimmy John's in forever. Pull over into this parking lot. We'll just run in and get sandwiches.
Well, and honestly, I feel so stupid.
From what I remember, I
feel so stupid because I literally saw a sign that said like limited parking during normal banking hours, and I was like, oh, it's a Saturday. It's not normal banking hours. We're fine. I didn't look like 3 signs over where it was like, oh, we're a registered pay lot, and I was like, I have the app on my phone. I could have done that. It would have cost like $1 to park
$5
there.
even.
And so like we ran into Jimmy John's, which is known for being notoriously fast, and we were probably in and out of there within like 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and came back to a ticket that was more than what we paid at Jimmy John's by like $10.
Yeah.
So basically paid double.
It was $68.
Yeah, and food was like $52. So like basically, you know.
We paid $10 a minute to park.
Yeah, $100 for sandwiches,
which were worth it.
They were delicious, but also
best sandwiches I've ever had.
Like, don't feel guilty about not going out today.
Yeah,
for Pride Day Part 2.
Exactly. A parking ticket is keeping us in the home.
Yeah, I think
that and being hungover within an inch of my life.
Yeah, it's like seriously, I know what that feels like. I'm glad I'm not going through it. But, although I'm very hazy because I have just been like sleeping all day because the dog has just been laying on me, which is just the best reason to just sort of be like, cool, I'm down for a bit.
Cuddly and sweet and loving today.
She missed us yesterday.
Yeah, she has separation anxiety and does not like when we leave.
But it's weird. She doesn't get like whiny, screechy, howly, destructive. She just gets very clingy when we're back.
Yeah,
like
and she just loves
like,
to hang on us and kiss our faces and play with toys. And yeah, she's just the best. Yeah. I love that dog so much.
Seriously, it's so hard to just not talk about her all the time when we're not here.
Right.
And then when we're here, all I want to do is just like...
We're definitely those dads like showing people pictures when we go to parties,
we're
talking
very
about
proud.
her, telling her origin story.
Well, she's just such a beautiful little mystery.
Yeah, she's worth it.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say about yesterday is like we definitely practiced our version of girl math. I guess it's like drinker's math or whatever, but... Yes, we paid $68 to park to get sandwiches, but like that's exactly what an Uber would have been from our house to Pride.
Yeah, and we would have paid double that.
So we would have paid double that if we had taken a car.
Plus, we would have drank a lot more.
Yeah,
like we both would have drank irresponsibly if neither of us were driving.
I was pretty buzzed. So I stopped drinking at Pride. Like we went to a brunch at our friend John's house. And then we all walked over to Pride and started bar drinking. But by the time I was at the bar, I was pretty drunk. And someone just put a drink in my hand. And then I went up and bought one drink. But that was it. Like, I could have easily spent $68 on drinks had we stayed all day. If I was 30 instead of 43, definitely could have gone all night.
Well, and as somebody who's like kind of a germaphobe, but also someone who wasn't drinking at all anymore at that point. Like, I literally had like a diet soda. Everyone, like, these were heavy pours.
Yeah.
And so, like, at this place, like, one drink was pretty good because it was, like, honestly, like 4 shots probably per drink. And so, everybody kept being like, oh, God, this is, like, pure tequila here. And I'd be like, no, thanks, I'm good. And they're like, no. And I'm like, I'm not drinking anymore. I'm done. And of course, like everybody was super buzzed, and everyone was just like a little too polite and a little too, like generous. But it was fine. I think I literally had like 4 people, like 3 of them borderline strangers, offer me a sip of their drink because they just couldn't believe how strong it was, and they needed somebody else to corroborate. And I was like, first off, I don't really share drinks with anybody. But like second, I'm literally trying to. I'm sobering up so I can drive home.
Yeah.
Like I'm good.
Well,
but,
and
it was very
also,
sweet, but also like, whew.
people rarely like say, "Oh, smell this! It smells so good." "Oh, taste this! It tastes so good." Usually, it's always a bad thing when people want you to experience it as well.
Right, a little bit of a flex that like the drink was so strong, but also everyone was making like ugh face when they handed it to me, and I'm like, well, you're not selling this experience. Like I could just go home and drink straight tequila if I wanted,
Yeah.
but like I'm choosing to not do that right now. Like there's a reason why I'm not putting tequila in my body.
Yeah.
You know, because I can do that. I would have gotten the non-mixed thing with tequila. I would have just gotten shots.
Well, yeah, that's what you do. You
Yeah.
usually do shots of tequila and beers.
I love tequila shots.
Well, I've been drinking tequila lately because I haven't been feeling hungover. Now, yesterday I drank mimosas all morning, which I love and adore, but they get me. Like there's a thing about having like 2 or 3 mimosas where you're like, I feel great. But when you drink probably 2 bottles of champagne worth of mimosas over the course of like 4 hours, it's a rough day the next day.
Well,
That's a lot of sugar.
it's funny because I mean I feel like we went through our years where I was a drinker, where I was like we were going out, we were doing it,
Yeah.
but like my drinking is almost exclusively after nightfall. I'm a night owl drinker. Like we'll go out and we'll stay into after hours and stuff and whatever. Like I can go. Day drinking is very much something that I'm not especially accustomed to nor equipped to handle very well.
Well,
I'm very much, I become a midday napper. It kind of ruins me for the whole day. Like it's one of those where if I don't keep drinking, I crash hard. And so it's funny, like I feel like yesterday was a uniquely Pride experience of like, I started in the morning and at 3:00 I was turning into a pumpkin. I was done because I didn't keep up with what I used to do. But it's being outdoors in the sun, like it's fine. I'm just not a day drinker anymore.
Well, I've always loved day drinking, and as I get older, it's what I prefer because it's just easier. I definitely can't do day into night drinking, which used to be my favorite. Like when I lived in LA before I met you, when I lived with Sean and Allie and we had a pool, we would pool party all Sunday morning from like 11 to 3. And then we would all take showers and go to like the beer bust at Precinct or not Precinct, Fault Line. And and then drink all afternoon into the evening. I mean, Sundays used to be Sunday fun day, drinking all day. I can't do that anymore, but I do prefer a day drink. That's just what I like. I mean, especially when you go out to bars and stuff, the crowds are easier. Like day drinking over a lunch is so much better than drinking at night. And then, you can come home and nap and sleep it off, which is what I like to do. Like yesterday when I got into bed at 5 p.m. and slept till this morning.
Well, I guess the other danger of day drinking for me is that it puts me into risk of getting more dehydrated than drinking normally does because of the sun and getting sunburned. Like that puts me into a really dangerous place.
Outdoor day drinking.
Yeah, like because I feel like most day drinking, I'm usually outdoors. Like sun. It's usually an outdoor experience where all of a sudden it's like, well, I throw this new variable in that I'm not planning for, and of course me drinking makes me completely useless about self-preservation. And so the next morning I wake up lobster red, probably feeling worse than normally just because my body was desperate for water.
Yeah, the brunch was on a rooftop in Capitol Hill at our friend John's house.
Nicer weather than it's ever been on that rooftop, though.
Totally
it was not
warm and
windy
nice.
like normal.
Usually it's windy and freezing cold.
Yeah.
But it was totally nice. Little overcast. We did not wear sunscreen, but I didn't get burnt at all. I mean, my watch tan line got a little brighter, but
I took off my hoodie for all of 20 minutes, so I think I'm pretty good too.
Yeah. But I will say, like, we went to the Union Block Party. So in Seattle for Pride, all the bars are pretty spread out, I would say. So they each close down their section of the street and do like a block party in front of their bar,
which I kind of love. I think that's a really great layout.
And half of them are free and half of them charge tickets. And so we went to the Union Block Party, which was free, and they really have an eye for detail. I mean, honestly don't know how much the drinks were because I only bought one, and by the time I bought it, I wasn't paying attention. I just handed a card and left. But the parking lot or the street was very clean. There's lots of umbrellas and tables to like hang out, lots of space to be around people because it was crowded. And then they had hundreds of porta potties. Like just
the line for a porta potty was never very long.
Yeah, you never had to wait longer than a minute to get a porta potty.
Even though everybody lined up like they drive in Seattle, which was to say clustery and non-assertive.
Yeah, no one really picked a line. So
Oh,
you
all
kind
the
of just like, once you got to the front, if you saw someone come out, you just got it.
Yeah, and if someone hesitates, I'm sorry, I'm passing you on your left, and I'm taking the porta potty because you honestly don't care.
And,
if you cared, you would move your ass.
Yes, porta potties are stinky and kind of gross and uncomfortable, but
These weren't that bad.
they weren't that bad. And compared to having to pee really bad and wait in a long line and find a bathroom, I'll take a porta potty any day.
Like we wandered into Union just to sort of see how the bar was and possibly get a drink, and then it was like, well, it's not like wait in line at the bar because honestly, like, the drinks outside were way faster to get.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, do you have to use the bathroom? So like I went and I was like, sure, I'll use an indoor facility for now. And I looked and like the line was so long. I was like, and back to the porta potties it is, because it was fine. But like seriously, like I remember the drink prices a little bit, like, because I wasn't super paying attention either. But I know that like domestic beers were $6 and a Stella tall boy can was $8.
That's
so
not
like
bad.
no, it was like that's bar pricing. That's not event nor stadium nor airport pricing. Like that's actually, I mean, yes, it's
not Disneyland
yeah,
pricing.
it's not a concert. Concert pricing would have been $24 for that tall boy, and so like or a sporting event. So I feel like it was reasonable. There was like basically no markup. The bummer was everything was cans or aluminum bottles, so like there wasn't any sort of draft element. Like we had, there was a problem, or if the beer you wanted wasn't iced, you either need to accept that your beer is going to be warm or pick another brand.
Yeah.
So like it's that same thing of like, well, this is outdoor event style serving, so take that what it is. But yeah, it's honestly,
the cool thing too is
like
that they
do the
had
event.
massive bars set up outside, so you never had to wait a long time to get a drink either.
Well, and I imagine some bars probably bring in one of those keg trucks.
Oh yeah, like they have at fairs and stuff.
Where like they do like the filling from the bottom via the magnet cups, kind of a thing.
Oh,
I
was
love
saying
those.
the ones that have like the taps
Or, yeah,
literally
the taps
on the outside of the truck.
No, totally. I'm saying either that or it's the kind that have the lower thing. So I feel like maybe larger bars or larger blocks, it'd be worth the investment of that.
Yeah. But it was a good time. And like I said, we were home by a decent hour.
Everyone was so friendly.
Yeah. We got to see, you finally got to meet Mimi, who I love. Hello, Mimi. If you're listening, we love you. Finally got to meet Mimi. Got to meet my friend Max from TikTok, who I've never met in real life, but like have known forever. And got to meet some other new friends. And yeah, it was just a good time. Pride is one of my favorite times of year. I love just being around a ton of gay people. And I don't know. It's my happy place.
No, it's like as somebody who's not as socially adept as I used to be, it was a little exhausting after a while, but still, like everyone is so friendly, and it's just such a positive day, or positive event that like everybody's just so I don't know, everyone, and like seriously, it's just a come as you are. Like even at the block party, it was very much one of those things of like people of all sort of walks of life and styles were there, and there's something so like
you knew for the most part, I would say 99.9% of the people there are ultra progressive and happy to be around gay people. Yeah. Like even Mimi's boyfriend, who we met, who was great. He's a straight guy, and he was just having the best time. Yeah. I love guys like that. So
yeah, no, it was a nice day, and I've kind of forgotten what the real kind of I guess emotional payoff of Pride is that sort of happens like that. Like it's a really cool kind of weekend.
Yeah. And it's funny to see how people party these days, because especially when the pandemic hit, we obviously stopped going out, and then we definitely stopped going to like house parties and stuff. So it's kind of funny to see how kids party these days. Well, very much different than what we're used to.
Well, and also specifically the kids these days, because like it is a thing where like a lot of people we were hanging out with were about 10 years our junior.
A lot of kids were in their like mid-20s.
Yeah,
and we're in our early to mid-40s.
Yes.
So that's 20 years, babe.
Hey, some of them were like 10 years our junior. I did not want to specify how young some of them go. I mean, obviously, like they were all very much like out of college drinking age. Like we're not going like into crazy young friends.
Well, but as you know, I hate generational politics, so I hate identifying things as a generation. But they were playing Gen Z beer pong as opposed to millennial beer pong.
Well, it's funny because I have never actually. I think I've done millennial beer pong once, and then everybody I knew that was even my age as a geriatric millennial, everybody made the switch just because beer pong is actually gross if you're doing it outdoors.
Millennial beer pong is where you pour beer into the cups, and then you play beer pong, and then you drink that beer that the ping pong ball lands in. Gen Z beer pong is you put water in those cups, and then you just keep a beer on the side of the table. They actually played a different version where just no one was drinking while playing the game, and the team that lost just had to shotgun beers at the end.
Well,
so they kind of saved all the beer for the end.
There was one team that was just, or one guy was just drinking anyway, though. So
Yeah,
it was kind of like every time they sunk one, he was
That's
like,
how
oh,
I
hey.
am. Whenever there's not a single drinking game on the planet that I don't casually drink while we're playing, and it kind of defeats the purpose, and then I get extra wasted. So that's why I don't really play drinking games anymore.
Well, and for some reason, I kept thinking I played something in the middle, but yeah, I guess Millennial Beer Pong still did have like the water cup to do the
rinse the ball
before you throw it. Which
Yeah.
that was our light measure that we did.
Yeah. But I definitely remember drinking the beer, and sometimes we would do one that was a shot, like you do a mystery cup.
Well, I'm glad that beer pong is still happening because I do like that game. I think it's very cute. I'm glad that quarters has kind of gone the way of the dodo. I never cared for that much. And
That's
also,
a sitting around a table hanging out thing. You can't really do that at a party.
But it's funny. I've still talked to people and been like, "Oh, do you ever play quarters?" And they look at me like I've grown a second head, and I'm like, "Okay, cool. That one's not as in vogue." I think there's a different name for flip cup though now.
Oh, really?
I think I could be wrong, but I feel like I still see flip cup, but no one calls it that.
Ours was flip cup and beer pong. I also loved that it was very, I don't know, gay, adorable that they didn't use red Solo cups. They used like plastic Tupperware brand cups
That said
like,
love is love on them.
Little eye for detail. No.
Oh, different ones.
For beer pong,
for beer pong.
They were using actual Tupperware
cups. They were using tall kitchen cups.
Yeah, they were using like plastic Tupperware cups.
Well, and it did give the opportunity for the really long kind of around the rim.
Yeah, it did that
ball
a lot,
movement.
like the swirl.
Well, but and like depending on the rules, like I don't know if you noticed, but one team, whenever that thing happened, they would immediately get in there and start blowing. Because a lot of times, like, depending on like your rebound rules, if you can get it to come out before it hits the water and it just basically comes out of the basket, then yeah, you get like you have to like take your turn or throw back, or there's like or they have to drink or something. I've seen some where there's like a reversal technique.
I'm sure there's like official rules. It's almost like Uno. I'm sure there's official rules, and then there's like what everyone does.
Yeah. Well, there's house rules.
Yeah, house rules. I've never actually looked it up, but I'm trying to think now, like when we played Flip Cup, where the drinking came in. Flip Cup was you chugged a little bit of a cup, and then you tried to flip it, and then it moved to the next person, right?
Yeah, it was.
So
like,
you had to chug a little bit.
It was often like a relay.
Yeah, it was like a relay
waterfall
of
like,
multiple
not a waterfall,
people.
but yeah, to relay it down.
Yeah, I used to love that one. I also used to love getting completely fucked up, which now as an older gentleman, I can't do that.
Well,
it's too much.
It's so funny because I speak about this, but it's mostly just like friends of mine in college. Because I was that guy. I was like, why am I playing a game to drink? I'm drinking anyway.
Right. There comes a time when you're like, wait, I don't need to get that wasted that fast.
Well, or sometimes it was like I'd be playing a game and I was like, well, I'm not getting a thing where I am drinking, but like I literally am thirsty. I have a drink in my hand.
Yeah.
Can I just drink now? Like I haven't lost anything, but like, can I just get a credit? Can I just do it?
The other thing I can't do anymore is shots. Unless like I might have one tequila shot just for the experience and the the flavor and everyone else is doing it, maybe to get the night going.
Yeah, kick off.
But like never more than one in a night.
Well, I feel like depending on where I am, I might still be able to do some multiple tequila shots because like I still am like I still think all the time back in LA I don't know if the place is still open or if they still do it, but there was a place called the Gold Room in Echo Park, and they did carne asada tacos if you knew to ask, and they did a thing where like you could get a shot of Patron Silver, which is like my favorite tequila, with like a Dos Equis draft mug beer for like $1 more. So it was like $6 for like a shot of tequila, a round of beer, and they did free tacos while you were there. And so it's this thing of like, if you could do like shot, beer, taco or two, then you could just repeat the process. I swear, I think one evening, I think I did like 4 shots of tequila, 4 beers, probably 12 tacos. Walked out of there feeling incredible, like buzzy but not wasted. Like it was just this thing of like it was this perfect balance.
Yeah.
And I walked out fed. It was like it was just magical. And plus that place, like the clientele there was like half like Echo Park hipsters and half like exclusively Spanish speaking, still wearing their like neon vest construction workers from LA. Like it was like this really interesting combo, and like the jukebox was like half mariachi, half Morrissey. So it was like this thing of like it was such an interesting kind of cross section of neighborhoods and audiences in that place. It was fascinating.
Yeah, I'm usually when bars have a shot and a beer combo, it's usually like a PBR and a shot of Jack Daniels, and I think that's a cocktail. Like I think it's called a thing. Not it's like a sidewinder or something. It's not a sidecar, but yeah, it's something where you get a shot of whiskey and a PBR for like $5.
Well, so I wish I had the appetite that I had, like for tequila and a beer when I started drinking. Like when I was 22, 23, I was like kamikaze and a Heineken. I don't know how I did that
Lemon
for years.
drops.
Yeah, it was just like, oh my God,
pure sugar.
I drank so many kamikazes growing up.
Well,
or not
and
growing up, but like
my thing too is I
coming
used
of
to
age drinking.
just to be a smoker, and I could put away a pack of cigarettes a night just partying. The way I used to party is so crazy now. Yesterday, a bunch of my friends vape, and they all have the cute little like
they're really cool looking.
They have the little colorful ones, and they look fun. So I was like, you know what? I've never tasted one of those.
It almost looks like a shell.
It was called White Gummy Bear, and I was like, can I hit that? And I took like the smallest puff of this vape, and it just burned the soul out of my body. Like I was coughing. Rob made fun of me. He's like, "Oh, you look so cool."
Baby was coughing for a while. I was like, "Yeah, you look super cool right now."
I was like, "This is what a vape is nowadays. This is too much. I
Instant
can't."
popcorn love.
Oh yeah, just like a raspy cough. It burned. Also, the vape was sweet. Like the fog, the vapor was sweet. So Rob and Darza.
I'm sorry.
You guys, Rob never eats food before we do this podcast, and occasionally he'll have the loudest stomach grumbles, and it's been happening this whole podcast. I told you to eat before we record.
Sorry, I was just excited to get in here and ramble.
You can't have soda all day and then record
I
a
had
podcast.
coffee first.
But so if you're hearing those grumbles, that's Rob's stomach because he's starving.
Yeah, it's the second guest.
Yeah, but since I've stopped smoking, and I obviously don't vape or anything, I drink, I get drunk, and then at a point I stop and I go to bed. And that's...
It was funny. Like last night we got home and, ate our sandwiches, our expensive sandwiches that we girl mathed into. And then all of a sudden, like, he looks at me and he's like, I'm going to go to bed. And I was like, it's
I said I was going to get in bed.
Or get in bed. I was like, it is 8:30. Are you going to sleep? And he's like...
No, it was earlier than that. It was like 6:30.
Oh,
it was early.
And I was like...
It was very much mid-afternoon.
But yeah, and I was just like, are you like... He's like, probably. Probably just going to go to sleep. I don't know. I'm tired.
I was like, but I'm just going to get in bed, maybe watch some TikToks. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Cut to all the lights on, completely passed out. I wake up at like midnight. He's nowhere to be found. I had that panic of like, whoa, where am I for like 1 second? And then I turned off all the lights and I was like, okay, I'll just sleep through the morning. And then I laid there and I was like, oh, I'm awake now. So then
we were both up and like hanging out, I think. I mean, because I never went to sleep. I actually watched a movie and did some reading. And
you just had free range of the house.
Yeah, like I listened to a record.
Free range? Free reign.
Rain.
Todd.
Yeah, I was a free range Rob. And I had free reign over the house. But no, so yeah, I literally listened to a record, got some reading done, watched a horror movie with commentary track on the whole time, because that's what I do when I got time that I wasn't expecting.
A movie you had just watched.
Yeah, and I even talked about it on the podcast, but I was like, I'm going to watch it with the commentary on, which the commentary track I watched there were 3 commentary tracks on this thing, and honestly, they all sounded appealing, and I think I picked the worst of the 3.
Did you pick actors, director? Which one did you pick?
One of them was director with composer, and I was like, that's a strange one. I just don't want them to talk too much about the music cues, although the soundtrack in that movie is great. The second one was director with medical advisor, which I was like, that one sounds really great. That's the one I watched. It was not great. Medical advisor kept kind of misunderstanding the point of the movie, and actually I think might need to be
evaluated.
Yeah. Like it worried me a little bit. I was like, oh wait, it's like that same thing of like when you say a joke and someone's like, oh, it's funny because of this, and you're like, that is not at all why it is funny, but that is the weirdest interpretation of that I could have possibly imagined. Okay, and then the third one is from a film critic, and who was not involved in the making of the movie at all, and I was like, that one's actually probably one of the more interesting ones. But anyway, so yeah, I still.
Now you're gonna watch it again?
I might. I mean, the nice thing is like I don't have to pay attention to the movie; I can just listen to the commentary.
That's true.
And because I think to date at this point, I've only watched 2 other things all the way through with their commentary tracks on, and that is Wet Hot American Summer, because that movie's amazing and the commentary is hilarious, and then the entire animated series of Clerks, which is only like 2 hours.
I mean, those were the original podcasts.
Right. Well, and seriously, and yeah, like commentary tracks are fascinating, especially like in it's funny because I know there's one that like it's for I think Chasing Amy that Kevin Smith did for the Criterion Collection, which came out on Laserdisc. And on it at the very beginning, and I think he is the reason why I believe at the beginning of most movies where it says like the voices and opinions voiced in the commentary are exclusive to those being interviewed, do not back up the, studio or whatever. I think it's because of the Chasing Amy one where Kevin Smith hops on and he's like, hey, everybody, welcome to the Chasing Amy commentary. Love that you're all here. And let me just say right now, fuck DVD. And he just keeps going because like at that point he was more pro Laserdisc than he was DVD. And he didn't want the format shift to happen. And so it's funny because that commentary track literally got just ported over to the Chasing Amy DVD release.
Oh, I get it.
And so
That's
but
funny.
it was funny though because I think that he was the one where everyone was like, okay, people are actually saying some shit on commentary tracks that we kind of need to distance ourselves from because it's going to poison future business relationships.
That's
so,
funny.
Funny little rando thing. But yeah, I've only watched a handful of things with commentary on, but like I'm actually kind of enjoying it. It feels like such a throwback to like the early aughts.
Yeah, I never got into it, but I know a lot of people did. A lot of people love commentary tracks. But like I said, it's the original podcast, and so I didn't really get into this format until the last decade.
Yeah. Well, we're also actually getting, I mean, sorry, not to go on like this rant, but like we're starting to get some interesting, good special features on movies again. Like I know that we were talking about like, the new or the new Planet of the Apes movie, which we haven't seen yet. But
I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, like the 4K Blu-ray version of it comes with a Blu-ray disc that has a picture-in-picture version of the final version of the movie, but in the inset is the raw in the camera,
the mocap actors.
Yeah, the un-CGified. Like you could see a bunch of people
it's
running
the
around
actors
on all
in
fours.
their polka dot suits,
yeah,
running around like chimps.
But you actually really get to see how much performance goes.
Which I'm excited about because I've always wanted to see. I love seeing that. Like that's one of the behind the scenes I love about video games. And like I've watched the Avatar behind the scenes of how they filmed all the Avatar stuff in the pools, and yeah, it's crazy. It's so funny that so much of these movies are animated and made inside a computer, but they still film an entire movie of humans.
Yeah,
and before it's edited into the cartoon.
Well, it's all the behind the scenes clips of that live action CG Jungle Book were incredible, and like seriously, I would love to watch that entire movie just the straight camera cut.
Well, just once because I've never watched it.
Right, I never saw the movie, but I would love to see like just the plain version of it.
But all that to say, we had a very fun and happy Saturday Pride. That's the other thing. I'm glad we did it on a Saturday. Like a lot of Pride, I feel like in LA, we always did the Sunday because we do a parade, then parties, then the bars. So Pride in Seattle, we did it on a Saturday, and we got to sleep it off on Sunday, and it was a delight. So happy Pride, everybody!
Yeah, and thank you to everybody that that said hi and that we ran into that was like so welcoming and friendly.
Yeah.
It's often this is very much a case where I tend to meet people who know who I am, and I don't know who they are because Todd talks to a lot of people online, and of course, like our information, we talk about ourselves, so people know about us.
Rob's not used to having fans.
It's a little strange, but everyone's so like friendly and nice, and it was just good to see everybody. So yeah thank you for having us.
Seattle
Gay Community Pride. Seattle.
Well, on that note, I think it's a great time to transition, wink, wink, into our final segment, which is What's Your Order? What's Your Order? By the way, I forgot to acknowledge, I meant to do this at the beginning of the podcast, but if you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice that our fireplace is broken because for some reason the YouTube stream just does not want to run today. I've tried it like 4 times. I pressed play on it.
I love the little like it's thinking about it progress circle.
It's had the swirly circle in it the whole time. I don't know if it's our internet or if it's YouTube or what, but the fireplace, she's feeling it today. All right. Yeah. She had too much fun yesterday at Pride, and now she's like, I need to just freeze.
She's doing her best.
But all right. Well, in this box, if you're just tuning in for the first time, are ideas, places, locations, feelings that have to do with food. And
what is the food concept of the week?
We're going to pull one out and say what our order is because we've already done it with all the fast food restaurants. So now we're just doing things. So, Rob, if you would be so kind.
Mexican.
Bing, 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 bing. That's so funny because I'm pretty sure we're going to Taco Bell for dinner.
Which is not really Mexican food, but goddamn is it amazing.
Well, it's because last night somehow we started talking about Del Taco, which is one of my favorite Mexican favorite fast food restaurants, and I miss it so much.
So, okay, well, like brief, like roll it back here for everybody else just to get caught up because I'm curious if this is a touchstone for anyone else. I was asking him, I was like, are you familiar with a restaurant called Noggles? Because I remember
I was not.
in Las Vegas when I was a wee lad. I remember Noggles, barely though. I remember they had fries, and I remember that they had tortillas. So clearly they were some sort of
Mexican-ish.
yeah, but I couldn't remember exactly what they did. And of course, like the person that I went to Noggles with that makes me think of it, they passed away years ago. So wasn't sure what I could do there. And my family is often useless whenever I remember something very specific, because my family does not tend to keep memories like that.
No one does, babe.
Anyway, so I was like, it was late last night, and I was like, I got time. So I literally was like, I'm going to Google Noggles. What the hell is this thing? And it turns out that Noggles basically converted all of their restaurants to Del Tacos.
Del Taco bought them out, right?
Yeah, it was like a company merger, I believe. And now there is a Noggles again in like Northern California that has like original style menu. But it looks almost like a Taco Time, to be honest. Like literally that comes with a white sauce, and I'm like, I'm sure that's just bland. But
it's watered down ranch.
yeah, but like basically, it turns out all of the like signature menu items at Del Taco, kind of like how Burger King has the Whopper, Del Taco has the Macho burrito, the Macho fries, like Macho series, and that came from Noggles.
I'd never had Del Taco until I moved to LA, and everybody's like, you got to get Macho fries. Me thinking it's going to be fries with like some kind of sauce. No, it's just they use their soda cups, so you get a large soda cup, but they fill it with fries instead of soda. And it's just the best because you can get nachos and tacos and then just a side of crinkle cut, like White Castle style fries, which I love a good crinkle cut fry. It's like a meaty fry, but there's lots of crispy edges. Ooh, I love a crinkle cut. So,
but yeah, so we were talking about
I miss Del Taco
that
so much. So obviously we don't have it here in Seattle because Seattle has nothing. And the closest thing we can get is going to be Taco Bell. But I just want nachos.
Well, and Taco Bell really does. I mean, like, I say it's not Mexican food. It hits a spot. I grew up loving it, and it fills a special slot in my heart.
But when I put Mexican, does it say Mexican food?
Just as Mexican.
So when I put Mexican in the box, I was thinking like, a traditional American Mexican style restaurant, which I love. You sit down, you get free chips and salsa. That is a treat. All right? That is so nice.
It is funny, that meme going around of like, would you like to eat, 6 corn tortillas? No. I cut them into triangles and fried them. Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, double it.
But it's so funny because like, I'm fully aware those are tortillas that I'm eating. And I can also eat 6 corn tortillas non-fried.
Yeah,
if you just handed
tortillas.
them to me like warm, I will eat them on their own. I love them.
I love that you sit down and you get free food just right off the bat.
Seriously.
And then it's funny that we talked about tequila too, because I'm a margarita drinker. So I love to get like a house margarita. I do it very simple, but I usually get like a double or a tall or something. House margarita on the rocks with salt and chips and salsa to start, and boom, I'm in the zone. I love it so much. And then I either get nachos, because Mexican restaurant style nachos, it's a huge plate of nachos. They usually do like enchilada sauce and like a cheese sauce instead of just melted cheese. Oh, they're so good. My favorite Mexican restaurant in Los Angeles is called Casita del Campo, and they have the best chicken nachos on the planet. If you were in LA or you're planning to visit, please go to Casita del Campo in Silver Lake for me and get the chicken nachos and shed a tear, because they're so freaking good.
And while you're there, their soup is delicious and fun to order.
Albondigas.
Yeah, it's my mom's favorite word in Spanish is albondigas.
It is the best albondigas soup I've ever had, especially if you're sick. It's like super brothy and salty. Good. So I always get that. It's like when I get sushi, I always get miso soup. If I go to Casita del Campo, I always get albondigas, and I get the nachos and a margarita, and I am in heaven. We're probably going to go to LA soon, and we definitely have to go to Casita. It's been too long.
Or El Coyote.
El Coyote is equally as fun, because that was across the street from.
But Casita is a special. I mean,
but Casita is like the cream of the crop. You know, there is nothing better in my eyes. Casita is just the best. Plus, it's like a gay mecca. Like, it's a big deal in the gay, especially the gay comedy and entertainment and drag community.
It's
because
very
there's a
Silver
theater.
Lake.
There's a theater in the basement.
Well, not anymore, right? Didn't they shut that thing down?
I think it got shut down.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've all done shows there and seen shows there many, many times. And it is one of my happiest places on earth is Casita del Campo. But in general, when it comes to Mexican restaurants, I will get, like I said, nachos, or I will do like a carnitas plate and just do the carnitas, rice and beans, sour cream, guac, all that good stuff, and make like my own little tacos. Or sometimes I'll just eat it with a fork. Like I'll just eat carnitas like a steak. And then the other thing is I love a chimichanga. And that's like one of the only places you can get just like a perfectly fried flour tortilla burrito, pretty much. Chimichanga. There's always like a white cheese sauce. I love that cheese, that queso dip. Oh my God. Most Mexican restaurants will use their queso dip as their sauce on a chimichanga. Oh, and it's so good. I love Mexican food so much. I'm so glad we're going to Taco Bell soon.
Seriously.
Yeah. And then, like I've said on previous episodes, there was a restaurant in St. Louis called Chi-Chi's that had fried ice cream. And that was like a Mexican thing too, which I don't know if any Mexican restaurants do it anymore. And I'm not a dessert in a restaurant kind of person, but I did want the Mexican fried ice cream because it sounded so fun.
Well, so like Mexican fried ice cream sounds better to me than because all my fried ice cream experiences were always in Japanese restaurants.
Yeah.
And the problem was the ice cream inside was always like plum ice cream or something.
Yeah.
I was always like, no. But like if you gave me like a fried flaming ice cream item that probably tastes like churros, smart.
Oh yeah, I guess churros too. But like I said, I only get churros at Disneyland, or as we like to call them, churros. All right, what is your Mexican restaurant order?
Well, first off, oh man, chips and salsa.
I mean, we go ham.
Not safe around me.
Just
like
over and over.
I'll be probably 4 baskets deep.
Sometimes we have gone to Mexican restaurants and been like, "Can you just bring another basket of chips right now? Because we're gonna need it."
Yeah, it's not gonna last long. Of course, if they offer guac, we're doing that. We're very much tableside guac peeps.
We are a guac family.
But yeah, I am I tend to get stuff that I normally wouldn't be able to get at home. So I tend to get either like taquitos or flautas, like something that's usually kind of flautas not less so, but usually taquitos, I think, because they're fried and kind of special. And I don't care for beans, so I am an all rice on the side guy.
You're a bad Mexican.
Yeah. And
which it's so funny because working in a restaurant, I know that they have a giant vat of beans and a giant hotel pan of steamed rice. And then when someone orders, they just put the plate together. But for some reason, and we have reiterated several times, he wants all rice, no beans. It always comes out. I think because it's such a factory style kitchen that they're like, here's his plate of flautas, rice,
half.
Beans. Like it always comes out with beans, and we always have to send it back.
I had the same problem at that place in Colorado with the divers.
Oh yeah,
South Park did the thing about it.
Casa.
Oh my God,
Bonita.
Casa Bonita. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you got that. But they're borderline like cafeteria style. They're so fast and automated with their food, or they were. I think they've changed their style now. But
the South Park guys bought it and remodeled it and refurbished it. Now it's like Disneyland. Like you have to buy tickets and stuff.
Oh, jeezy, crazy. But yeah, so I love like a taquito type situation, all rice. Also though, I love like a fajita, build your own kind of mayhem. Or if a place offers like a plate of like 3 or 4 street tacos of just like modest sized corn tortilla, maybe 2 of them with like carne asada, white onion, cilantro, and like a little shock of salsa, I can camp out and eat those all day.
Yeah, you love a street taco.
I do. I love and I
and a corn tortilla.
I feel bad for anyone that has to breathe around me afterwards because like so much white onion goes in me during that time. But
so good.
Like my God,
it's one of the purest forms of a restaurant meal is just the American Mexican restaurant sit down situation.
Well, and I
love it so much.
There's so many little magical things about it. Like every menu has that thick plastic cover on it with the sort of black knit frame because you have to be able to wipe them down because there will be salsa on that menu. No matter how put together I am and I'm feeling good, there will be a chip that will drop some salsa on that menu against my will by the time I'm done.
We, unfortunately, in Seattle, don't have access to what we had in LA, but we have found 2 places. We have one place in our neighborhood that it's pretty good. It like checks all the boxes, but it has been diluted via white people. Like you can tell they had to change their meal because we live in a very white Seattle neighborhood, and it is quite obnoxious. Like you go to that restaurant, you can tell that they had to change their recipes for the people in this neighborhood because it's very bland.
Let's tone it down a shade.
It's very bland because God forbid they have flavor.
It's not taco time though.
Yeah.
It's not that.
We shall not speak its name.
I know. I'm sorry.
And then the other place we go to in Ballard called Matador, which it pretty much checks all the boxes, and it's really close. They're trying to be like foodie, like with presentation and recipes and stuff. And it's like, don't reinvent the wheel. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't reinvent the wheel, as RuPaul says. Yeah. Don't reinvent the wheel. So like they have really good queso, they have really good beans and tacos and stuff, but there's always just like a flair to it that it's like, okay, I see what you're doing. Well, but it's still delicious.
But now you're sounding like me. I'm so much that guy of like, well, I love that restaurant, except every single item on the menu has like one ingredient too many. Like,
well, it's not that I don't want to eat it. I'm just like you're gilding the lily.
I know, but that's often my complaint is like, I can't tell you my food trucks in LA have like a menu that would be perfect if they took the Coco Chanel advice and just removed one accessory from each dish. Everything would be better for it. Instead, they were like, no, we put figs in our popcorn.
Why?
What? Why?
What a stupid combination.
Of all the things, that is the one thing that you didn't need to do.
It is, I will say, one of my favorite things about Casita del Campo is they garnish every single plate with just a green chili, just a long green jalapeno for no reason. You're not really going to eat it. It's raw. But every single thing is garnished with a chili, and I love it. It's that eye for detail, and you can eat it. I've eaten it before, but it's literally just a raw chili.
Well, it's funny because my dad actually would be like, "This is a restaurant," because like my dad is like a handful of jalapenos at a time while watching TV kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I mean, it's rare that I find a jalapeno that's spicy to me anymore.
Yeah.
I think I've developed quite a nice crust inside my mouth when it comes to spicy.
But like you don't recreationally be like, I'm hungry, I'm going to just snack on jalapenos today.
No, but I do crave the flavor sometimes.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean.
I have been drinking a lot of jalapeno margaritas because I got that jalapeno lemonade from Trader Joe's.
Which, that is delicious.
So good. It's not too sweet. Sidebar, but if you want a delicious lemonade beverage, go to Trader Joe's and get the or it's limeade actually, the jalapeno limeade. It's so good.
Seriously,
and
it tastes like limeade and just gives you a little bit of a tingle.
Spicy, and you just put a little tequila in it and you're good to go.
Yeah, it's like seriously, like I just tried it just the straight limeade and I was like, this is good. And it has that little bit of a burn that you get from like a spicy cocktail. It's that little hit.
Yeah, it's
so
fun.
Good.
But I love Mexican food so much. Thank you so much, Mexico, for inventing the best food on the planet.
Seriously, and the tortilla, the best vehicle for everything.
Seriously, it's so good.
God, I love a tortilla.
I can't wait. I'm so glad we're going to Taco Bell.
Right?
I'm going to go ham.
And now I feel like I just need to make tortillas, so I just have like 2 dozen for the week, just so I can just kind of
you've got it down. You've got it down pretty pat. Like you're really good at making tortillas now.
Yeah, I got a system.
Yeah. But all right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode.
Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride, everybody. It was a good month. I think we had a lot better Pride this year than we had last year, like with the boycotts and such. Well, and I don't think we had a lot of assholes in the media talking shit about us.
Well, and I want to leave anybody out. Like, happy future Prides to those. I know, like, Palm Springs Prides in, like, September. Valley Pride's in September, I think. Like, there's some off-season Pride. So
Phoenix Pride, I want to say, is in the spring.
That's probably a favor to everybody.
The desert communities. Yeah, that's why Palm Springs Pride is in
the fall.
November, right?
Yeah, I want to say it's like early fall or something. But
who knows? Maybe this year we'll get to go to one. If you guys want us to do a live podcast at Palm Springs Pride, we're available. And there's a direct flight from Seattle to Palm Springs. We want to go. Yeah. So, but yeah, thanks for listening. I hope you guys had fun. Thanks for subscribing and sharing and commenting and telling your friends. And we can't wait to talk to you next week. So from me and Rob, we love you. Goodbye.